Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what to say. We have entered officially today the beginning of the reset of the economy. If you haven't seen the different Genius Act and Clarity Stabilization Act, Stablecoin Act, all these things have passed in the United States Congress House. It's already going to go to the president's desk tomorrow. At least for the Genius Act, which is the very beginning of the stabilization or the Stablecoin Act and the Stabilization Crypto Act and the de minimis. Like one of the big things that's happened is, thank you, not CO2, not you, it's the sun. And the magnetic field driving in a cycle is, I believe, the reason that we're resetting the economy, because they realize, these rulers in power, that our civilization can't be salvaged in its current form, because as things change, as they have through the ages, there's going to be people migrating all over the place. Not this false migration, but really people will need to move because of lack of fruit production, lack of job opportunities. And as companies, corporations have to shift, because where they used to grow or produce foods, products, factories, etc., they're going to move to different areas because the viability due to the climate, they're just going to leave. And the way that the world's shutting down right now, we're going to have to revalue, rethink how everything is assigned a value. Now, this has begun as of today. So if you're not understanding about the stablecoin issuance thing, and you might go, what the hell, why are they doing this crypto thing? Like I was talking to somebody and they were giving me the example of Brazil. So you got an Uber driver in Brazil. They don't want to take the real. They want to take US dollars. But on the phone app, you can offer payment in USDC or USDT. And that allows that cab driver or taxi driver, Uber driver, whatever food delivery service person to take the tips or the actual payment by themselves if they determine in a stable coin issued with the one-to-one backing out of a US dollar, which will allow the world's people to use US dollars in a digital format to choose over the local currency, because the US dollar's the best worst choice we have right now. You can't have rounds of gold in your, I guess you could. That'd be a payday for somebody if you only gave them I only have 1/10 of an ounce of gold to give you as a tip. Okay. But most people are going to use stable coins and that sort of thing. The Genius Act. Now, this is truly the resetting of the economy as we know it. We have just moved away from the US dollar that you understand, that I grew up with, you grew all the way until yesterday. That dollar no longer exists. As once President Trump signs this on the bottom line, I think it's going to be tomorrow, the dollar that you used to know and I used to know is gone. It is replaced, but it will not be called something different. But the issuance of it and the distribution of it and the utilization globally in a tokenized fashion has just moved us into the digital dollar as of today or tomorrow when the legislation is signed. The Clarity Act is going to be following this, because people are very, very unclear on, am I dealing with a commodity? Am I dealing with a security? Am I dealing with cash? Like, it's very unknown, because it was super murky since 2017 on purpose. And those of you who are in the crypto space, you understood why it was murky on purpose. They needed to keep it on the shelf until they needed it off the shelf, which was now. So this gray area where companies could never operate in crypto, the usage of it in a daily fashion was not possible. You did something with crypto and the Department of Justice and the IRS is up your ass with a microscope. That's what it was like until just this year. On purpose it was stifled. It's very much like every single invention that could break humanity free, like zero-point technologies, parendev magnetic motors, electrogravitics, and these home inventions that would give everybody free, limitless power that had been around since the era of Nikola Tesla, stifled on purpose to take us into a patented, pay-by, metered system. And we could have gone away from that 100 and some years ago, but we didn't. And now they're unshelving that, sort of. It's going to come back. And the reason I say that is the enormous amount of power to drive the whole blockchain, which is going to go not up 1 or 2 times, but hundreds, plural, of times, So you're going to need more computational power to be able to, run these different blockchains, whatever application they're going to use, like Ethereum, Sway, Cardano, ADA. I encourage you to look at the ISO20022 list. They have been putting it out. Suddenly, if you notice, I'm going to run through some crypto prices with you because we are literally seeing history being made. We have just entered a new global reserve currency on the digital format. Old dollars. I don't know how long it's going to take, but mark my words, they're going to make us turn in our paper cash at some sort of exchange rate. Not tomorrow, but let this thing take hold like eagle's talons into you and into the country. Oh, it's up at 0.1%. All right. So as this legislation was being announced earlier around 4 p.m., and I've been following it because this is one of the biggest opportunities in human history right on your screen right here, right now. If you are poised for this, you will retire in the next year. I kid you not. The opportunity here is staggeringly once in a 500-year event happening, if not even longer. But that thing, when they were putting the legislation out, that thing dropped 3.9% negative on the entire market, and the huge amount of those coins were going negative. But as the traders got out of Wall Street and exited their positions, everything is turning over, and you are going to watch. This is a wealth transfer here. This is the biggest wealth transfer in human history. And if the ISO20022 tokens, if you're not familiar, it's Cardano and Hedera Hashgraph. Who else is on there? Quant is the main, and that's going to be the center of the center. Quant is an XDC. Never heard of this one. And then it's rising like hundreds of % over the last 2 weeks. It's up like 200%. Solana's not on that list, by the way, but it's at $1.80. It was at $1.62 earlier, so you can see the amount of things as Stellar Lumens. That's going to be, you're buying a pack of gum, instantaneous swap, and right now they are at about 15 to 20 times faster and more transactions per day and per hour than any credit card system on the planet, blowing away anything that MasterCard or Visa can do. Absolutely just smoking that. We have absolutely rolled into the new world. Now, the reason I would say that, it is snowing again for the second time in China this week. Turkey had snow the week before. We got snow back in the United States again this week. I'm going to move you over to the watchers and some other areas here to take a look at some of these. SOT.net also in some of my screens that I can share. California is recording some of the coldest temperatures they've had in summer in quite some time. It's just everywhere you look. Even Ryan Maue over there on X is putting out that the lower 48 is below normal, and you are being told that everything's frying, but it's not. So if we are truly entering this era where we're not going to be able to grow food stably any longer, that was a great excuse they fed us to keep us complacent for 25, 30 years of the green agenda, global warming, but everything's happening the opposite now. So you might just want to ask if you believe there's a cycle that's known that resets our civilization or dents, I wouldn't say maybe a full upheaval, but a dent into it. That's beyond human control. The only control humanity would have over it is its own local economy on how to give value to things that will be disrupted. And then Ransom talks about this every week. AI is coming for us. It's here. It's already here. So now we have this overlay of AI, which is going to be a giant power consumer. With all of this new blockchain stablecoin issuance and everything that runs on that. Oh, VeChain also was another one of the ISO20022 tokens. That is specifically and 100% set for logistics and tracking of goods, whatever good it is, from point A to point B, and every input that goes into it. So in a farm setting, every bit of fertilizer, herbicide, pesticide, the seed variety, the trucks that delivered it, everything in that entire chain is on that in one transactional envelope, for a better term. Every single container that's going to move across the planet will be on VeChain. Every good that's going to be transferred anywhere across the planet in any container or on any airplane ever again moving forward will be on VeChain. That's what it was made for. That's why it's on the ISO 20022 list. It's a short list of 8 tokens. It's the payment rails and the tracking and tracing of all product and good across the planet. And that's where we sit today. This is in motion and it has just begun. So this is not a toothpaste. It's a revolution for your teeth. Remineralize, strengthen teeth, all natural ingredients, essential oils, minerals, salts. Alpha Vedic Dental Solutions System. That's alphavedic.com/civilization. And not a lot of people are talking about this. We always see the storable foods. But what about dental care during these same emergency situations? So take a look at what they have, alphavedic.com/civilization. I would look at this. There's many epochs and eras. If you go back through history, you can start to see, what are the most significant dates in human history? And I kid you not, with a very straight face, we have approached another absolutely gargantuan mark in history for humanity that is beginning tonight and tomorrow. Our world will never be the same after this. The hyperinflation that we're going to experience as they switch systems, and the adoption curve where people are not going to be ready. And I wrote this note here earlier today on a napkin, no less. It came to me out of the blue. And here's my quote that I was reading to myself. We're entering a world where not a lot of people know how to operate. And the biggest challenge moving forward for well over 90% of the planet's population is they're going to be instantly thrust into this world of blockchain, cryptocurrency, wallets, private wallets. They're not going to know how to handle it. Like in the old days, you had to do all that yourself. So now they give you all these easy options. And the last thing I'll say to start the program here, Ransom, thanks for joining me. He's got a little problem over there on the computer tonight. So he's joining me from behind. He can talk, but the camera got fried, and we're going to go that direction. But the de minimis, this is the most important thing. If this thing passes, you 100% know we have arrived. The de minimis. Now, the de minimis for the exports out of Hong Kong was a big thing. It was like 8%, anything under 8% or whatever. Excuse me. It was under $600 that there was no tax on it. So anything arriving from anywhere overseas, anywhere, if it was under $600, there was no import tax on it. Now, the problem right now with crypto is if you sell it, you have a tax bill. I don't care if you sell $1 of token, you owe the government 20% of that. So the de minimis is they're going to get us into the credit card world where if you buy a cup of coffee using crypto in an exchange on a crypto card, which we're all moving to, that we're all going to be stuck and sucked into this. If you don't think we got stuck and sucked into this whole track, trace, terrorism, watch list world and all these NDAA and all this garbage that tracked along after 9/11, this is going to be significantly stickier, like super glue. That was like gum on your shoe, 9/11, sticking all this stuff that got us to here. What we're moving forward is super glue on your thumbs. That's the difference in it. Seriously. That was bubble gum on your shoe. This is super glue on your thumbs. This is a worldwide event. And I cannot believe more people are not talking about this. This is a gargantuan shift. Well, anyway, the thing is right now, if I use a crypto credit card, which I don't have, I refuse to use them because I refuse to pay the tax on a simple transaction of buying a cup of coffee using crypto that somebody gave me because I had the channel and they gave me some like stellar lumens and said, hey man, enjoy a cup of coffee. Here's, $10 worth of stellar lumens. And I was like, thank you so much. That $10 will be worth thousands of dollars in another year. I'm going to hold on to it. So I didn't want to spend it. But then people are like, hey, you could load it into a credit card and spend it. I'm like, wait a second. The price of that went up, almost doubled over the last 2 weeks. So when I go to spend a crypto credit card with the stellar lumens somebody donated to me, I would have to pay a capital gains tax on that every purchase I made, even if it was for a cup of coffee. So this de minimis rule is coming in where it's under 600. Again, it's very close to what the boxes were coming into America. I think they're going to have to raise it because I could go off to like Home Depot and then go off to like Sam's Club or something, and I could blow well over that. Every time you spend, they're not going to be able to tax you. It won't work if they're going to tax everybody at 20% rate of every time you spend your money, you get taxed 20%. That's not going to work. And these bozos that were debating this stuff today, I saw almost a clown show. It's ridiculousness. I don't even know why we leave these politicians in charge of anything. They are such ridiculous, like cartoonish memes wearing bad fitting suits up against a podium trying to. There were some people that were wanted that I'm shocked. I kid you not. They wanted you to pay 7.5% on every transaction that you did in crypto. 7.5%, which means you had to make 7.5% on your whatever you bought before you'd even break even. And then you had to sell it and they taxed you at 20%. And then there was another 7.5% charge just for getting out of your position. I was like, wait, dude, you're up at 15%, 20, that's at 35% tax to use crypto. And they're trying to come in and they just blew these people out of the water. They were I couldn't even believe what they were talking about. So anyway, this is where we sit. So you're going to look in order of check marks on this thing. And once we hit these final check marks, then the world as you know it is changed and we're in a new one. So the de minimis spend taxation on crypto rule, which is going to bring us to zero tax under a certain amount. That's got to go. That's got to come in. The stablecoin issuance, once they get the Clarity Act, once that passes, and then the other one they snapped in there, they're putting it in the NDAA, which has to pass anyway. You can't, that's not going to not pass. So they're slapping junk on the bottom of it. They call it a rider on a bill. They're putting all this stuff on there. So anyway, we are in a brave new world. But anyway, Ransom, I see you there. Thank you for joining me.
You think they signed over our firstborn children?
I'm just shocked. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, man. Please.
No, I'm just joking about these giant bills. I mean, we really are in an enormous transformation here. And I think it's because we're going to have an event and they know what it is. And, I'm not claiming to do it, but I mean, know what it is. But I think this AI is kind of the major, not only distraction so that you're not ready, but it's also the entity that's going to take over after reset. So they have to get people used to the convenience, the idea, the networking, the tools, the toys, the whole thing. It's going to be a whole cultural shift.
Please remember civilizationcycle.com and also buy me a coffee /civilization cycle.